Greetings builders and welcome back to another best build selection. This is the video where I bring 3 selected builds from a specific topic, and today's team is the Terror of the Guardians. I'm of course talking about the boss killer builds. And if you decide to make any of those, you can find links for the POB and complete guide in the video description. Let's start with the most OP build of all. I'm talking about the Venom Gyro Deadeye with the Ranger class. Venom Gyro is a very interesting skill which fires a projectile that hits enemies and returns to you, piercing and dealing damage to everything on its path. When the projectile successfully returns to you, you can keep and stack them up to 30 times and they will be released at once when you use the Whirling Blades movement skill. To list the pros of this build, I would not even know where to start. It comes with an amazing clear speed, boss damage and over 100,000 effective HP. Above all of that, it's cheap and easy to put together. It doesn't require any mandatory unique item. Now to list the cons is the real challenge here. It's hard to find something not to like on this build. However, I would say that as most builds, this one is also vulnerable to chaos damage, unless of course you invest on chaos resistance gear. As for budget, you can get it destroying early endgame maps with only around 90 chaos. To comfortably advance to yellow maps, you need to invest around 120 chaos, and for easily completing your Atlas, I recommend investing around 4 divines. Don't forget that on PoEbuilds.net you can find a list with all the equipments that you need to buy for this build, with direct links for examples being sold by other players. For clear speed, I'll give this build 10 out of 10. The Venom Gyro projectile already has an expensive nature for the amount of time it stays dealing damage on screen. Now, with a Deadeye that grants a lot of speed and many buffs to projectiles, the result is what you're seeing on this tier 16 gameplay. The boss damage is also a 10 out of 10. You can use Venom Gyro to instantly have 50 stacked projectiles and delete bosses with an amazing shotgun effect using Whirling Blades on them. It's just unreal and I can't believe it wasn't nerfed. For the survivability, I give it 9 out of 10. This build comes with over 100,000 effective HP because of high armor, high evasion, spell suppression and block chance. Next we have the freezing cold Ice Shot Deadeye, also with the Ranger class. Let's take a look at this amazing build that uses one of my favorite skills in the whole game. Just like Lightning Arrow, this one also counts with an amazing clear speed and boss damage. To list the pros of this build, I'm going to talk exactly about that. This build is able to clear maps in less than a minute and kill big bosses in less than a second. Above all, it's also not complicated to put together. Now to list the cons, I would start with its cost. Because of Lion's Fall, this build is quite expensive right now. The price of this deal already dropped a lot, but it's still expensive. About the budget, as I just mentioned, it's an expensive build right now. You need around 5 divine orbs to put it together. You only need 2 mandatory unique items for this build. The first of course is the Lion's Fall Jewel that grants many useful nodes on our passive tree. Next we also need the Yoke of Suffering Amulet that causes all of your elemental damage to shock. This way our enemies take a lot more damage. For clear speed, I'll give it 10 out of 10. You fire many projectiles with high attack speed and those projectiles return to you, piercing enemies, bouncing off walls, and you even have your mirrored archer to fire more projectiles. No one can survive that. The boss damage is also amazing and deserves 10 out of 10. Using the incredibly strong Val Ice Shot plus your ballistas on bosses will kill them super fast. For the survivability, I'll give this build 9 out of 10. You have armor, evasion and spell suppression that grants almost 50,000 effective HP, but the main reason why this build is safe is because you can kill everything from a huge distance. You just need to mind your position. Finally, we have the build that took everyone by surprise on Crucible, the amazing Lightning Arrow Deadeye with the Ranger class. With all those returning projectile shenanigans that Crucible brought, we now live in the time of archers. With very little investment that pretty much doubled most of attack projectile damage. Now Lightning Arrow got even more with its Val version that is awesome to kill bosses. To list the pros of this build, I'm not sure if I would start with its clear speed or boss damage, because both are out of this world. This build is also not complicated to put together, it's definitely the perfect mid-league build to be playing right now. Now to list the cons, I would start with its cost. Because of Lion's Fall, this build is quite expensive right now, but I'm sure that in a few more weeks the prices will drop.
About the budget, as I just mentioned, is an expensive build right now. You need around 5 divine orbs to put it together. You only need 2 mandatory unique items for this build. The first is of course the Lionized Fall Jewel that grants many useful nodes in our passive tree. Next, we also need a Yoke of Suffering Amulet that causes all of our elemental damage to shock. This way our enemies take a lot more damage. For clear speed, I'll give it 10 out of 10. You fire many projectiles with high attack speed and those projectiles return to you, pierce enemies and bounce off walls. You even have your Mirage Archer to fire more projectiles. No one can survive that. The boss damage is also amazing and deserves 10 out of 10. Using 2 Val Lightning Arrows plus your ballistas on bosses will kill them so fast that you won't believe it. For the survivability, I'll give this build 9 out of 10. You have armor evasion and spell suppression that grants almost 50,000 effective HP, but the main reason why this build is safe is because you can kill everything from a huge distance. You just need to mind your position.
And that's it guys, what did you think about those awesome boss killer builds? Please take a second to tell me in the comments and leave a thumbs up to support the channel. I wish you guys an amazing day and don't forget to keep building.